Hello everybody, how are you guys doing? Welcome of course back to Rule of Two Review. So holy smokes, it feels so good to be back on camera for you guys. For anyone who doesn't maybe follow me on Twitter, where I have talked about this a little bit the past week or so, I have been so outrageously sick. I have had the worst flu, I swear to God. I think the bubonic plague is back, and somehow I caught it, and for the past like 10 or 11 days, I've been really sick, and I did manage to get one video out, the last one I made last weekend or so. I had been sick even a couple of days before that, but I started to get better, and I was able to make that last video or two, and then I got way worse, and the worst part about this, and then I'll stop talking about being sick, the worst part about this was the timing, because when I got too sick to make videos, was right when Nintendo announced there was going to be a Nintendo Direct, and then of course the day of the Nintendo Direct, and the last couple of days after the Nintendo Direct. I've been too sick to get on camera, and that's been so hard for me because there was so much to talk about. I mean, I would have been excited even to make a predictions video the day before Nintendo had the Direct. And then of course, once the Direct happened, so many games, so many announcements, so many like ports and stuff, and Smash Brothers, and just a ridiculous amount of things, and I wasn't able to talk about it, you know? And so while I'm still not 100%, I'm much better, and I felt comfortable getting on camera today, so I don't know if I maybe sound a little bit weird from being sick or whatever, but I'm at about 85%, and I felt like, you know what, there's a couple of things I gotta talk about, so let's just do it. And so, of course, coming off of the Nintendo Direct, there is a huge note about Nintendo and the way they've been handling themselves lately that I took away from the Nintendo Direct. Or I should say, I'd kind of already been thinking about it, and then with something specific within the Nintendo Direct, it made me realize, yeah, this is really something that I'm seeing from Nintendo, and it is something that I want to talk about. It basically put the final stamp on that thought and theory that I'd been having, and I was like, yeah, I think it's worth discussing as an actual video topic, and it's a good thing, so I'm very excited to talk about it. But before I even dive into that, I kind of do want to super quickly recap a little bit of the Nintendo Direct, which will lead into what I'm talking about. And obviously I want to talk about the Nintendo Direct because I haven't had a chance to do so yet, but I won't spend too much time on this other than to say, again, similar to how I even tweeted, I thought it was a really good Direct. Now, to me, it wasn't mind-blowing. It didn't blow my brain apart with Nintendo fanboy excitement. I wasn't like, whoa, the best Direct ever, or one of the best Directs ever, or I just can't believe how many amazing things happened, oh my god. That wasn't really how I felt. But I did feel like it was still very good. It was definitely a better Direct and a more exciting Direct than the mini Direct we had in January, and probably still more exciting than a lot of other previous Directs. I mean, what I will say is, there were a lot of announcements in this Direct of games coming to Switch that were new announcements, and that part was great. There was a lot of things where it's like, wow, I didn't see Okami coming. I didn't necessarily see Crash coming, even though there were rumors about that. You know, I didn't see this, that, or the other. Little Nightmares was another game, and things like that. So I was like, wow, okay, I didn't expect to see this game on the Switch. South Park was another big one. There were rumors, and I did pretty much believe that was going to happen, but it wasn't confirmed. And so seeing a lot of these games announced as coming to the Switch was good, because up until then we had not heard that. I mean, the biggest things for me were pretty obvious ones. For myself, the No More Heroes thing is very interesting. I'm excited, you guys. I was so glad to see it. I predicted on Twitter actually the day before. I was like, you know, maybe they'll finally show us No More Heroes. And they sure did. We got a quick like 40-second trailer with a bunch of gameplay in it. And, you know, it looks different and it looks weird, and I get that. But I am mostly very excited and completely into it, given that it's a spin-off and not technically like No More Heroes Part 3. There's a lot more I'm going to share. I'm probably going to make a video just on No More Heroes, so I won't go more into it other than to just say, yeah, like, I thought it looked great. I'm very excited. It was great to see the game. Obviously, Smash Brothers, holy crap. We're all freaking out about that. What a great way to end the Direct. A very Nintendo way where they're like, oh, and one more thing, like the famous one more thing. So that was amazing, and that's been taking the internet by storm. I'm one of those weirdos that liked Luigi's Mansion. I know it's like dumb it's coming to the 3DS, but for me it's like, hey, I have a 3DS, so I don't really care that it's coming to the 3DS, because I can still play it. Like, it's not in HD, and sure, that sucks, but I don't know. I just don't care. I just don't care. So I'm happy to have it on the 3DS. I will say, if I was gonna pick I would choose for it to come to the Switch, don't get me wrong, but they decided to make it for 3DS, so what? It's an old game. We've already played it anyway, so I'm very, very excited for that. Also, the Dark Souls stuff was really, really exciting. I loved that the amiibo is coming. I mean, a Dark Souls amiibo. Come on, that is something only Nintendo could ever pull off. And how cool is it that they decided to make an amiibo for this game? I mean, seeing them support a lot of third-party content with their own amiibos is a pretty big deal, and to do it for Dark Souls is an even bigger deal. And I think that's going to be very, very huge for the Dark Souls audience that maybe wouldn't be into Nintendo or into the Nintendo Switch, or even has a Switch but wasn't thinking they would want Dark Souls for the Switch. Maybe now they're like, oh, but I get this amiibo thing, and maybe I'll try amiibo, and because I want to try amiibo, I want to try Dark Souls on the Switch instead of my PlayStation or whatever. And so I don't know, I just think it's really cool that they're doing that. And as a Dark Souls super fan, I'm freaking out over that. Plus, the footage of the gameplay looked great. They did an amazing job remastering this game. I cannot wait for Dark Souls. You know, those were some of my highlights. I do feel like, even though I'm not mad about 3DS games, I think that it's surprising to see how many 3DS games they're still making, while at the same time not surprising. So I'm not mad about them still supporting the 3DS, but I think that even though I know it was only like the first 5 minutes of the Direct, they focused a lot on that. There was so many 3DS games, and even in 2019, that Mario and Luigi game's coming out. And I was like, wow, this is a lot of 3DS stuff. So I'm not mad about it, but I just didn't love seeing it even in the Nintendo Direct, so much of that. I love Splatoon 2. I am excited for the DLC, but I feel like spending the last like 5 or 10 minutes on Splatoon 2 stuff, I was like, man, this is kind of a little bit too much Splatoon 2, at least a little bit more than I'd want them to focus on the Direct. And I'll go last thing here before I move on to the main topic. When we look at all the ports happening with the Nintendo Switch, I had to reiterate this on Twitter. I got into a conversation. It was a good, friendly conversation, like with OJ. Like, you guys know OJ, of course. He's a good buddy of mine. And so we kind of had a couple of back and forth tweets about, you know, whether or not it's great that they're having the ports or not. The thing for me is that I actually love that so many of these games are coming to the Switch. And it's like, hey, South Park is a game that makes sense. Okami obviously makes sense on the Switch. The Crash collection is so cool seeing come to the Switch. And all these other things. Every game they announced that's a port coming to the Switch. Captain Toad, which I predicted like 6 or 7 months ago. Like, that's great. I'm happy to see these games coming to the Switch. I think they make sense, and it is huge moves and huge strides for the library, and for Nintendo working with third parties and getting these games on board. So I am 2 thumbs up for all this. Absolutely support these games coming. My one criticism is that in a Nintendo Direct, I guess I don't love how much time was dedicated to already released games. It's just within the confines of a Nintendo Direct. Now, Nintendo doesn't have to show us anything they don't want to. There's no rules that says, oh, Nintendo, you're breaking the rules by showing so many. It's just me as a fan thinking, oh, I kind of wish the Nintendo Direct time was taking up more with new stuff and announcing games that either had never been announced by anybody or had never been released on previous consoles or were going to be day-and-date releases for the Switch. Because I think it is important for the Switch to get to day-and-date release. Like, some people could argue whether or not it matters, and there's a case on both sides. For me, from my personal opinion, I think it matters, and I would like to see more of that. And so when so much of the Nintendo Direct, I feel like, I don't know, 60 to 70% of the Nintendo Direct was, or at least the Switch games in the Direct, was like previously announced and previously released games for other consoles. And as great as they are to see, I guess I wish the Direct had more new stuff in it. But I will still remind you guys at the end of the day, I don't really care, and it was still fun to see the stuff announced, and I think the Direct was a great package, and I'll remind you, I'm glad these games are coming to the Switch. It is smart to bring them. This should continue to happen. I am all in support of all that stuff, so that's kind of the quick version, the 3 or 4 minute version, my summary of thoughts on the Nintendo Direct. Now, to move on from that into my main point, we need to talk about Nintendo as a whole. And something that like I said in the beginning, I've been noticing that they've been doing, and I think this is a very, very good thing. I feel like in the Nintendo Switch era, Nintendo has learned a very, very big lesson. And obviously the lesson isn't coming from the Switch itself, the lesson is coming from their previous years, their previous consoles and generations. Obviously, we can most recently go to the Wii U, which we know was like their most struggling generation they've ever had. And what I'm loving that I'm seeing Nintendo do, the lesson that I think that they've learned and are implementing in the Nintendo Switch era, is that it is okay to tease. It is okay to tease a game. It is okay to promise a game that you don't have anything to show right at the moment. It is okay to let people and Nintendo fans and gamers get excited about a logo. Now, I know that to a lot of you guys, this might sound totally silly and crazy and even like a weird thing to talk about as a positive. But for me, I see this as a huge positive, and I see this as huge growth for Nintendo. Previously, we know that Nintendo really hasn't operated this way, and this is also a good thing. So this is a double-edged sword. I don't think that the way they've previously treated things is even inherently bad, but I think that they have been missing opportunities and possibly shooting themselves in the foot just on occasion by keeping things so close to their chest as far as things way out in the future, things that they're working on, projects that are meant for future releases that they don't yet want to share because there's not a lot to show. I think that obviously it's great to have so much to show as far as gameplay and to say, hey, here's an announcement of a new game and it's so far along, here's a bunch of gameplay and footage and trailers, and it's going to come out in 6 or 7 months at the end of the year. That is great. That has previously been the way Nintendo has operated. We know that. They're like, we don't like to show anything until it's ready to show, until we have a lot of stuff, until it's going to release soon. They like to show stuff for the same calendar year. And I love that. That is great. Not many companies do that. In fact, some companies rely too much on not doing that, and that is a problem. I'm looking at you, Sony. And so I want to applaud Nintendo for the fact that that is their normal business model. But I do also think that the opposite can be true, where, you know what, sometimes it is great to give gamers the promise of the future. On occasion, you can have 1 or 2 teases every once in a while. You can rely on just a logo, just a whatever, to say, hey, we don't have anything to show today other than to let you know we're making XYZ project and it's going to be great and we'll just have to share it with you soon. Now, I know a lot of people might share different viewpoints on this philosophy, but for me, I truly believe that it's important to be able to give gamers a promise of future releases even if they're not yet ready to show. Now, as far as I've seen in the Switch era, there have now been, coming off of this Nintendo Direct, 4 instances where Nintendo has been willing to say, hey, here's a logo and a title card and just an announcement of a game that we're making. We have nothing to show other than the name and the franchise it's a part of, and sometime down the road, way in the future, we'll tell you about it. We'll let you know when it's going to release. We'll eventually have gameplay and trailers to show, and at that time, you'll find out more. But today, we just want to let you know, here, we're just going to move this into the spotlight for a couple seconds. Here is this game. Be excited, and then we're going to pull it away until sometime later. And now, to me, the only times we've seen them do that in the Switch era has been Fire Emblem. A lot of people forget that that's basically what's happening with Fire Emblem. They gave us a logo in a year of 2018 last year, and that was it. That was like right around the launch of the Switch, too. Here you go. There's a Fire Emblem coming next year, and then we'll tell you more later. Obviously, last year, the other 2 big ones are Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon, which didn't even have a logo, just a guy talking about it. Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon, and then coming off of this Nintendo Direct was Smash Brothers. Now, the one difference with Smash Brothers is they did actually tell us in that Direct 2018. So it's not like a future year title, and it's not like they left that part mysterious, but they did only show us Super Smash Brothers, no title, no understanding of any details, and no gameplay. I mean, even when they revealed Smash for the Wii U in 2013, I believe that there was gameplay in that quick trailer. So they showed us some stuff. We had an understanding of that game, what it was going to look like, what we might expect to play, an idea of characters, because Mega Man was revealed right in the first get-go from that game. With this game, I mean, I guess you can say they obviously confirmed Splatoon characters, so that counts as well. But still, it was just CG Splatoon characters, and then it was the Smash logo. We got Breath of the Wild Link too, but still, we didn't get any gameplay. We got nothing, no title. It was so mysterious. It's just Smash in 2018. So to me, it kind of blurs the lines, but ultimately I think still counts as one of these 4 titles. And when you think in just over a year's time, Nintendo has done 4 times what they previously have never done and never been comfortable doing, I think it's a huge move. And like I said, I think it shows growth. I think on occasion with a few titles as big as a Metroid or a Pokemon or a Smash Brothers, you can say, hey, we're just teasing the game, we're putting the logo on screen, and that's all you get for now. Because also, here's all these other games that are going to be ready to go. These are developed, these have gameplay, these we know are going to be coming out soon in this or this month. And I think that you can balance stuff we know about, stuff that we have gameplay for and release dates for, with stuff that's mysterious and way in the future, but exciting to know is coming. It's exciting to know Metroid Prime 4 is being made. It's exciting to know a brand new Pokemon, the first ever Pokemon for a console, is being made. That stuff matters. And it lets gamers know, hey, I may have all these games to purchase in the next 6 months, and that's going to be great. But also sometime next year, we might get this game I'm dying to play, or this other game I'm dying to play. And that's exciting, and that makes people excited to have their Switches. It makes people want to go out and buy Switches if they don't already have them. And this applies to other consoles as well. I mean, PlayStation and Xbox, to be fair, they do this stuff more often, and I think that they're allowed to get away with it, even though, like I said, I think Sony does it way too much. They're allowed to get away with it, and it does get people excited for the future, and that makes them want to believe in that system, because believing in the right now is important for a console, but believing in the future and the following years is also important. Previously, Nintendo hasn't really cared about that, but now I think they're seeing the value of it, and to tell you the truth, I think it's been working. I think promising Metroid and Pokemon and Fire Emblem has made a difference because it's kept us excited in knowing that games like this are going to come only from pictures of logos. Is there a negative to doing this as well? Yeah, I think there's fair to say that there is a negative, and it's probably one of the reasons Nintendo previously was never really interested in doing this. But to me, the biggest negative is the possible feeling of dangling the carrot in front of us and like, hey, you know, you want this game, you want that Metroid, we're just going to keep moving it away, we're going to keep teasing you and taunting you with it, but we're never going to give it to you, we're never going to show you gameplay or trailers, and we're just going to be laughing all the way to the bank as everyone keeps buying our products, waiting for this game or this game or this game. That is a problem, and also there's always the risk that games this far out end up getting delayed anyway, and they take forever to come, and we see how impactful and depressing and angering delays can be. Zelda got delayed many, many times. Obviously, the game justified it, but still, that was very frustrating. And, you know, recently, Days Gone for the PlayStation 4 got delayed, so what's going on with that? I mean, we're waiting and waiting for games like Spider-Man or God of War on those consoles, and that sucks, man. Like, it sucks to wait so long for a game you already know you want because the company has already told you it's coming. So there is that, like I said, I guess a double-edged sword. There is two sides to this coin where, to me, I think it's smart and great business sometimes, not always, but sometimes, to tease that future release, but it's also potentially damaging and almost insulting to your audience to keep it so far out and so mysterious for so long. And like I said, make it a dangling carrot situation. I think that that's not always the best way to go. So I think it has to be handled tactfully and with care and in moderation. And Nintendo, who's never really done that, is only just starting to do this. And they've done it 4 times, like I said, in the year and a month since the Nintendo Switch launched. And personally, I've yet to see any real negative to it. I see it mostly as huge growth. Like I said, a big step forward for Nintendo, a big step into understanding the way today's gamer consumes news and information about games and gets excited about games, and how the newer age business model of the gaming industry works, and saying, hey, it's okay to tease things now. Let's not be afraid. In previous years, when we've had bad directs or bad E3s, a lot of people have complained, hey, you didn't show us this game or this game or this game today, but we feel like we know you're working on it. Just throw a logo on screen. We would be okay with just a logo for a new Zelda, even if you're not ready to show it, stuff like that. People have made those complaints for years, and nowadays Nintendo is actually doing that. They're willing to just put a logo out there and let us be excited about just a damn logo. Metroid Prime 4 is the ultimate example of this, you guys. It's been so exciting, and there's been so much talk about Metroid, and they only had a logo, and I personally just love it. So anyway, I think that's going to be it for me. I probably have talked my sick self to death already, and I think that I probably just need to wrap this video up for that reason, because this is my first video back after being so sick, and I still have some healing to do, like I said, but overall, these are my thoughts. I was really excited to talk about this with you guys because I don't know that a lot of people have even taken note of this or would normally think to take note of it. I don't know if a lot of people would see it as a positive thing like I do, but that's how I wanted to present it, as a positive thing. And I totally and fully understand that some people might see it as a bad thing or a negative thing, and they might not like it. And that is fair, and I want you to talk about that. I want people to discuss, if they think this is a great thing and a good step for Nintendo or a bad thing. Do you like the tease of a Pokemon and a Metroid even though we don't know when we're going to get it? Or do you absolutely hate it? You don't want to see a game from Nintendo or from any company until they're ready to show actual gameplay and a trailer right then and there, right off the bat. So all opinions are welcome. All opinions on this subject matter, but now you know mine. I love this. It's positive to me. So what do you guys think? Thank you guys so much for your patience. Thanks for waiting for me to get back on camera. I know I've had 2 or 3 videos in the last week, but that's pretty slow for me. So it feels great to have felt good enough to get myself back on camera, talk about Nintendo, and recap that Direct at least a little bit for you guys. So that is it for me. Discuss the topic below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is Rob of Ro2R Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.